The Health Fix podcast teaches you how to take charge of your health naturally by giving you the information you need to elevate your health.
Hello there, health junkies. Welcome to another episode of The Health Fix. I'm your host, Dr. Janine Krause, and today it's me again. We're going to be talking about stress management today, and in particular, what you didn't learn as a baby, what you didn't learn growing up, and most particularly, what you didn't learn that you could use effectively to help you to manage stress. And in particular, we're going to talk about what you learned from your parents, how your parents coped with stress. We're also going to talk about how you cope with stress. Maybe you have some good habits, maybe you have some bad. Let's talk about them today. We're also going to talk about how to change your behavior to manage stress effectively every day. Because what I find in my office is that patients are coming in and be like, I'm so stressed out, I don't know what to do. And we all have this idea that there's a magic pill, there is something we can do, and then it's fixed for us. No, it's every single day setting yourself up so that you can manage stress better, because there's going to be new things that are coming at you. There's always going to be different challenges. Life is dynamic. Stress is dynamic. So we need to be fluid and dynamic with it to be able to roll with life's punches. So that's what we're talking about today. Let's get into the podcast. Hey there, health junkies. So today we're talking about what you didn't learn about stress management. In college, in life, as a teenager, in school, no one's teaching about it. And so, of course, it's kind of baffling to us. What do we do? How do we deal with this stress that we experience? And a lot of times folks are coming into my office and being like, Doc, I don't know what to do. This isn't working for me. Life's not working for me. My career's messed up. I don't know where to go. Things are just off the rails. And I don't have great answers for folks in terms of what we can do in the moment. Because my comment is always, if I had enough money to put you on a beach in Fiji for a couple months, I would. And yeah, that could solve some things, but then we would find new things to stress us out with, because we always do. So we need to find some tools that we can utilize that are dynamic as much as stress is dynamic. But first, we've got to talk about, how did we end up here? How do we end up having trouble managing stress? So, a long time ago, depending on how old you are, you were born and you had to figure out life and things like, I'm hungry. I have to go to the bathroom. I need some hugs. I need some cuddling, some nurturing. And those were all stressors to you before you could even speak. And there are folks that'll even say stressors happen in the womb where we're trying to figure out how to manage stress. Now, I'm not going that far back today, but I am going to go far back to you and your childhood, because stress management starts before you can even talk. In fact, I would like to say that it starts the day you were born, because the first thing for us is getting our needs met as a child. Many of us grew up with parents that didn't know what the heck they were doing, because there isn't really a school on parenting. You just learn from your parents and from people that you were around on how you're supposed to parent your children. No one took a crash course in stress management. So unfortunately, what happens, parents start to get overloaded, multiple kids, or juggling a job or two jobs, as in the case of my parents. Both of my parents had multiple jobs. So what does that leave for me? Well, they're running around trying to figure out how to take care of me. Oftentimes I was left with my grandma, which was an amazing experience, not going to complain at all. And so I started to learn her coping mechanisms for when she became stressed. So how did this turn out for me? Well, I learned that if you are stressed, you should probably just eat. Just stuff those emotions down, and that is going to solve it. How well did that work out for me? Not so great, because now I created myself, as I got older, a binge eating disorder when I became extremely stressed out. Maybe this is resonating with you, maybe it's not. Don't worry, I'm going to be talking about more examples. Now, the other big thing that happened with me and what I've explored as I've gotten older, and what I see happening with a lot of folks, is that parents tended to like to drink to solve problems. And we all know how too much alcohol works. It's either someone's going to end up snoring on the couch and not paying attention to as a kid, or there's going to be anger, violence, different types of personality issues that come out with excessive alcohol. Well, that is a real thing. And that's a stressor to a kiddo because one, we see that, okay, mom and dad are really frustrated, so they're going to start drinking. We put that together at a very young age. So in our minds, we're like, okay, when we're old enough, we can do that too. And so this is why sometimes we have these kind of issues developing. But it's also something that we're not getting needs met as well at the same time. Because if mom or dad has had a lot to drink, they can't nurture you. They can't talk to you. They can't cuddle you like they should. Or should is a weird word, I guess. I guess in this case, it's more giving you what you need. If you needed the hugs, you needed the love, all of these different things. And if you didn't get that, you got stressed, right? And so what was your stress reaction? Well, maybe you turned to eating. Maybe as a young kid, you turned to, isolating yourself and learning that was a stress management technique. Just isolate, just shut down. Now, I can go on for hours and hours in terms of different techniques, but the point here of me bringing it up is that I really want folks to be aware with how did their parents cope with stress and how did that get transferred to you? If you didn't live with your parents, you're caregivers. Look at that and see what have you picked up from them. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to look at what is going on a day-to-day basis in your life right now. So starting with the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, what does your whole routine look like? Write it out. I personally love to get more data on myself because the more I know about myself and how I interact with the world, my behaviors, my actions, my behaviors related to stress, behaviors related to being overwhelmed, feeling overwhelmed. It's very interesting how we react in these situations. And so having the clarity of, okay, when my schedule is too tightly packed, I start to feel anxious. I feel like I am so busy that there's no way anything's going to get done. My to-do list looks like it's 4 miles long. And so you start to notice that your mind is blowing things a little bit out of proportion. That's an interesting thing to take note of. Now, if that's not your case and you're noticing more that your life is in chaos, you don't have routines, you don't have structure, and that's creating stress for you, that's a big deal. It's a really big deal. And something you want to start exploring. So how do we go about this? This is kind of the crux of things for a lot of folks because I have plenty of patients coming into my office and saying, Doc, I need a solution. I need something to help me to deal with stress better. And so I go often along the lines of, all right, well, let's get you some adaptogenic herbs such as ashwagandha. Let's get some adaptogenics, rhodiola, things of that nature. And I can pump people with those and they say they feel more calm. But you can't take an adaptogenic and hope that it's going to help solve all of your life stressors. It's not going to do that because you're not looking at what is actually causing you the issue. What is the crux of the problem? And a lot of times it goes back to needs we didn't have met in childhood that we're still trying to get met as adults. Are you lonely? Are you bored? Are you frustrated? Are you sad? Do you not have true connection in your life? These are things to start to pay attention to in terms of needs, because the needs are at the root. The needs are at the root of your routines and habits. And so many of us, especially women, we put ourselves last because we have seen everybody around us put themselves in a situation, in particular females put themselves in a situation where we are the caregivers, we take care of everybody else, and then we come last. We need to stop doing that. I'm not saying that you have to stop taking care of people because you can take care of people without stressing yourself out. In fact, part of why I wanted to talk about this today is because I've found that with myself in my own practice, I was taking care of a lot of other people before my own needs, and it was stressing me out to the point where I want to quit sometimes. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of times where I'm like so frustrated with why can't I get this person better? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? And I'm like, wait a minute. I can't do anything for them because I'm not taking care of myself. I haven't slept like I should. I haven't done the things that I need to be doing. And you have to be aware of when this stuff goes off the rails. I've already pushed myself into extreme panic attacks and really let my health slide. I bounced back and I started to see some patterns here in the last few months where I was giving my business my all, but I was doing it at the sake of taking care of myself. So I am also fallible to this as well because it's not ingrained when we are born for us to learn how to manage stress. So those of you out there that have kids, have grandkids, I am putting this out there for you to help your kids learn how to manage stress. Because the better we manage stress, the better our health outcomes are. There are a lot of people that are dying of viruses that shouldn't, not because they have necessarily terrible health. They might be extremely fit, because you've probably heard stories like so-and-so was extremely fit and died of this lovely virus that's been hanging around here a little while. Well, guess what? Likely, if you dig into that person's history, you're going to find out the more stressed out someone was, the more lack of management of stress, the more likelihood to have serious illness and complications from viruses in particular, but also bacteria, yeast. There's plenty of people in my practice that have chronic yeast infections within their body. There's also a lot of people in my practice of chronic overgrowth of bacterial infections in their gut. So SIBO, small intestine bowel overgrowth. And no amount of herbs, no amount of treatments are helping this. Same thing goes with mold. Why do we get these chronic infections that don't go away? It's because we're not managing stress. Our vagus nerve that controls inflammation within the body cannot control inflammation. It kind of gives up. And then our immune system's compromised. We have reactivated viruses that are in our system. We have bacteria that we can't put in a check, yeast that we can't put in check, other types of molds that we can't put in a check. And this is the root of the issue. So the younger you can get a hold of folks and teach them to manage stress, the better. But if you're my age, 40 plus, and you're sitting here going, all right, I know that when I get stressed, I don't feel good. I know that my body starts to ache more. My gut gets off. I have panic attacks. Now's the time to do something. So let's talk you through what you can do every day to help manage your stress better, because it's a work in progress. It's an everyday get better at these things kind of goal. It's not a magic pill. It's not a magic supplement. It's not a magic protocol. Yes, adaptogenic herbs will help you to adapt to stressors, but you got to get out of your own way first. And I am here to help you get out of your own way. So let's take a look at my board here. I talked about these things already. So I'm going to erase what I have. Those of you who are listening to this and are not watching me erase my board, that's okay. I will talk you through what I'm putting up here. So with stress management, the first foremost thing we have to look at is needs. Look at your needs. What primal needs do you have that you seriously aren't getting met? And look at it in a state of being freaking selfish about this. Is it love? Are you lonely? Do you want some friends? I mean, I know this sounds really kind of silly, but it's not. Because we overlook this stuff way too often and put it off to the back burner like, oh, I'm being silly. Oh, I'm being immature. No, you're being real. This is legit stuff here. Are you looking for love? Are you lonely? Are you fearful? What do you need? Do you need a hug? Do you need human interaction? What do you need? Look at that. And look at it tied to what stresses you out. So, stress triggers. And some of this up here, lonely this night. Sometimes you need a nap. I'm not kidding. We are all still babies tied up in these adult bodies. And it's primal needs. Sometimes you just need a nap, a break, something like that. Time out. Let's put it like that. Time out. We just need that. And most of the time for me, what it truly is I need a time out. I literally need a big T time out just to take a couple minutes to breathe. So looking at your day to find out where you can insert timeouts. Huge. It doesn't have to be like 20 minutes, an hour. You don't even have to meditate. Like literally you can stare at the wall and you're taking your time out just to slow things down a little bit. Because for a lot of people, the world and life goes a lot faster than we want it to. And part of our stress is that we stack our appointments up on top of each other and don't think about that. But there's also the stress triggers. So looking at your day from wake up to bedtime, what is happening? Do you have a morning routine where you wake up and you do a certain sequence of things? I highly recommend it if you don't. Now, for those of you that are going to fight back and want to rebel a little against this, hey, probably got to look at that rebellion need. Why do you need to rebel? Let's put that in here. Rebelling. What is that? What's driving that? What are you fighting against? Why? So we look at this wake up to bedtime time frame, and we look at having a morning routine. A morning routine is crucial because in the morning, your cortisol is the highest because it's supposed to wake you up. Now, if you're struggling to get out of bed and you're hitting snooze over and over and over again, it's possible that you've burnt yourself out and you're not even making effective amounts of cortisol in the morning to get you out of bed. The good news is that you can change that. That's part of your circadian rhythm. You can test it to find out. That's saliva cortisol testing. You can know what's going on. You can do a urine test too, but saliva cortisol testing, and in particular cortisol awakening response. It's called a CAR response, C-A-R response. It is awesome for knowing like what's happening overnight with your cortisol. Are you spiking overnight and dropping so that like in the morning you can't get up, but overnight you're wired and you're just kind of not sleeping. So it's important to look at wake up to bedtime and assess that and really see what are you doing in there where you find yourself stressed. So yeah, it involves journaling. Yeah, it involves exploring yourself a little bit more. Oftentimes you can get a lot of information in 1 week about yourself by looking at morning routine, and going, where do I feel at by the time I have to start work, by the time I am getting my day off and running? What's happening? Do I feel okay? Or do I feel anxious for the day? Do I feel jittery? Does my belly not feel right? Your belly's your first brain. So if the belly's not right, then you know something's not right up here, up top, in that brain. So morning routine. The next thing is how you carry out throughout the day, because cortisol is highest in the morning and then it slowly goes down on a roller coaster downward. So it's like up and then it's going down throughout the day. As your cortisol is dropping, we tend to have a good drop around 2 to 4 p.m. A lot of people crash at that time, feel like they've got to get coffee, feel like they've got to get something in the system. What could you do to head that off? A lot of times meetings happen in the morning. If your meetings are stressing you out, and maybe you've got work vampires, maybe you've got relationship vampires, people that suck your energy, you got to figure out how to manage that in that time frame. So what do you do about work vampires? Well, when I say work vampires, I'm talking about people who suck your energy. And they suck your energy because they're super negative. They're super Debbie Downer. They want you to do things for them. Any of those kind of scenarios. And there's plenty more. But someone who just makes you super tired every time you talk to them, not a good thing. So you want to think about how you can interact with them and shut it down so that you can block yourself from getting that negative impact. But at the same time, it's looking like the goal is to preserve your energy throughout the day. So daytime routine. As your cortisol is dropping, what can you do to keep yourself energized? Move. Get up from your desk and move. I know a lot of people right now are working with stand-up desks, things of that nature, which is great. But we got to move in that space. I'm like dancing right now for you because we need to move a little bit more. Go for a walk. Get outside. Breathe some fresh air. It will bring new life into you versus going and grabbing another coffee, going and grabbing a sweet treat. It's not going to help you. Those are both Band-Aids. What I'm trying to put out here is stuff that will last you. That was not a Band-Aid, it's a fix. That's why this is called the Health Fix podcast. So we're looking at the daytime routine. We're also looking at the evening routine, which by far I personally think might be one of the most important routines, your wind down routine. Do you have a hard stop on work? Do you shut it down and then you ease into your evening? Or are you staring at your phone, your emails, all of that stuff when you're done working? I have had to put a hard stop on work because otherwise I will work and work until I go to bed. And sometimes you have to do that because there's a project or there's something that needs to be done. Great. Just make sure that you're taking a moment before the bedtime rolls around and you're actually getting your sleep. Because evening routine is what sets you up for quality sleep. You cannot manage stress effectively. You can't manage your choices effectively. You can't do much effectively if you don't sleep. And now I'm talking about getting in 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep a night. I know there's people that say, I'm do fine on 5. Okay. How's that working out for you when your belly's starting to get a little bigger and you haven't changed your diet? How's that working out for you when you're like, my legs seem to be getting more cellulite? What's going on? Sleep. Very important. Because if you don't sleep the night before, you don't recover. And if you don't recover from the day before, the workout before, the day, any of it, you can't go into the next day full of life and energy. You're depleted. And then all of your routines and habits that you've created that do not serve you are going to compound. You're going to be extremely overwhelmed. Let's use an example. Have you ever had a pretty crappy night of sleep? Then the next day you had a meeting, you had multiple things to get situated. And you lost your keys, you lost your phone, you can't find it in the house, you're getting frustrated, you're starting to kick things, you're throwing things, you're getting upset. Yeah, that's from sleep. And then what happens later on in that day? You're like, I finished this day, I need a reward, I'm going to go get pizza or tacos or whatever your vice is. Or you're like, I'm going to get a big old glass of wine, aka I'm drinking this whole bottle. That's how we cope. But we can prevent all of that from happening by having a solid evening routine. I also think of morning, daytime, evening obviously is key, but if you are struggling to get things in order and you want to know where to focus, start focusing on the evening routine. What needs do you need met in the evening? Most of us need a good meal to recover. So recovery from the day, good meal with carb, protein, fat, combination of everything. But we also need connection. We need to speak with our family a little bit more. Start sharing, talking, things of that nature. And then work on just getting off these screens so much. Yes, I know I am on this. I know I'm on the computer a lot. But I don't do it in the evening. I'm off. And it's going to get even more strict as time goes on because I am working on me so that I can give you guys my all. But also, I want you guys to be having incredible lives, feeling really great and being super healthy. And so this is why working with stress is huge. Now, another big factor of stress management, in addition to getting your needs met, looking at your triggers, what stresses you out, your vampires, and then looking at your routines, is how you can deal with stress in the moment. Now, a lot of people talk about breath work. And for many people, breath work is stressful just in and of itself because you're like, I don't know if I'm breathing right. I don't know how many breaths I'm supposed to take. How am I supposed to inhale? How am I supposed to exhale? How far in my belly am I supposed to breathe into? Stop complicating it. You're just breathing. Just pay attention to the fact that you're taking some bigger breaths. I really want folks to embrace the idea of taking a break, slowing down. We have a fast-paced society, that's true. But you can slow down. It's going to do a lot better for you. Has anyone ever traveled to an island, like a tropical island? Maybe Hawaii. Maybe you've been down to some islands in the Caribbean. Let's use the Caribbean, for example. How are those people? It's pretty inviting, right? They're chill, they're happy, they seem like everything's great down there, right? And everything's slow. It's on island time. You might want to embrace that. When I lived in the mountains in Colorado, we had mountain time. Mountain time was usually about 15 to 20 minutes late for everything because you were doing your thing, whether you were out biking, hiking, whatever. And it was always, if it was a snow day, there are no friends on powder days. You go out and ski, you get out there and you enjoy that time. And this stuff's key. This stuff's really key to think about because a lot of times when we are overachievers and we're type A personalities, we think, gosh, those people are slackers. They're out there enjoying themselves. But in reality, if we really look at the big overarching theme there, we're jealous. We're like, wow, I wish I could do that. I wish I could have time to play. Well, why can't you? Seriously, why can't you? Because one of these other needs here that I'm going to add in is fun. How much fun do you have? Do you really enjoy your life? Really? If you are saying no right now and you're like, oh my gosh, no, there's some things that can be improved. This is something to think about. This is something that you need to explore a little bit more. Because what do you think all of these unmet needs are doing inside your body to your cells? They're creating stress for you. So here's the other kind of thing that I see a lot in the office too, is all people go, well, I don't know how, I'm not stressed out. My life's great. Okay. Are you getting your needs met? Because if you're not, this is where we got to figure things out. So, stress management, to kind of sum up the overarching thing here before I jump into what you're going to be doing. Needs. What needs do you have that you are not getting met right now? For example, I'm going to put out mine just so you have them here because I think for having an example, it's a really big, I think it's an eye-opener. I think it's a really big eye-opener. So I'm going to erase this really quick and I'm going to write down what needs that I have that stress me out and don't give me what I need. So, need number 1, breaks. Sometimes my day is scheduled to the point where everything's back to back to back to back. Now that is because I have set up a scheduling service for myself. Unfortunately, when I did that, I forgot to mention that I need breaks. Big need, something huge. Why? Because I've found that, I really want to help people, right? I want to squeeze people in. I want to get so many appointments in so that I can take care of everybody that needs to see me. But if I'm not taking breaks, I'm not giving my best service. Now, how can you translate that to your life? What needs do you have that if you got them, you could be such an amazing person or deliver such an amazing service or whatever it is that you do? Breaks. My other big need, fun. If you've seen The Shining, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. It's true. All work and no play makes a lot of people grumpy, is what I'm going to say, and stressed out. You need to plan fun. Every single day, something fun. You need to start to enjoy life again. And I'm telling you, you need to do this because a lot of us don't even know what enjoyment is anymore. And that's sad. I've had quite a few patients come in and I've said, all right, what do you do for fun? And I get this like crickets blank stare. That's not good. That's not good. So my big needs are break and fun and outdoors. I love being outside. I love being barefoot and I love being outside. I love gardening. I love anything that has to do with being outside. It doesn't matter. I'm not picky. But if you're an outdoors person and you're not getting outside, this is killing you from the inside. It is stress. Not getting your needs met equals stress. Equals stress. All right. So step 1 there. Figure out your needs. Now we got to figure out where we're going to put your needs into your day. Because if you have every single day where you're getting your needs met, guess what? Stress isn't as big of a deal because you are getting your needs met and you're putting in portions throughout your day so that you feel better. So now let's look at morning routine. What do I do to help get a break, some fun, and some outdoors? Well, fun for me is working out. So every morning I make sure I work out. I also make sure I get the dog out for a walk. I don't care if it's raining. I don't care if it's sleeting. I don't care if it's windy. I'm still going to go outside because just getting that first morning's light gives me energy, but it also gets me that connection to being outdoors. Now, after all of that, I come back in the house and I do something called positional parasympathetic breathing. I'm going to shorten it, breathing. I am not focusing on, I'm doing box breathing or taking 5-count inhale, 7-count exhale. I'm legitimately working on laying down, my legs so I'm laying on the floor. I've got my arms out to my side. I've got my hips in a 90, knees in a 90 on a chair. And I'm chilling. That's what I'm doing. 5 minutes. What that does is tells my body, okay, we've finished the exercise. We've finished the walk. We're going to bring the cortisol down so that we can start the day. Breaks like positional parasympathetic breathing are huge. Because what's the key component here? We're stuck in fight or flight mode. That's our sympathetic mode. We need to be more in parasympathetic mode, the chill mode. So when you can insert things into your routine, you want to insert the parasympathetic. So where, oh boy, I can't spell. Where can you insert chill? Okay, so say you wake up in the morning and you love your coffee. All right, fine. Yes, coffee is going to drive the sympathetic response further because there's caffeine in it. You could do no caffeine coffee. There are some decent, cleaner decafs these days, or you could do a cordyceps type of coffee, so mushroom-based type of coffee. Actually tried one the other day. It wasn't that bad. Go figure. I'm not a coffee person. Nobody wants me on caffeine because if you want to see someone that looks like they've done a bunch of crystal meth, that would be me. So not good. But this here is huge. Inserting chill. Where can you insert something that feels luxurious, that feels chill, that gets your needs met in the morning? So I want you all to look at your routines in the morning and see where there's something you can insert in. Just something. It doesn't have to take up a lot of time. Maybe you light a candle, you sip your coffee. Maybe you sit outside, you sip tea or coffee on the back porch. Maybe you're bundled up, but you're getting your outdoors need met. Whatever it may be, there is something. And working on adapting to this every single day. Because stress management, like I said, isn't a one and done. This is an ever evolving, keep tweaking, keep getting your needs met, keep finding chill. So, we're getting our needs met there. I'm going to take my morning routine off, and now we're going to talk about the daytime routine. Because what's happening right now in my office, since I've had a bunch of changes, is that I don't get a lot of breaks during the day. And that's a problem, because I can't think, and I will go down rabbit holes in my head where I start to panic. Because I can't think about my patients. I can't think about what I need to do. I can't think about treating people to the most effective manner. And then if I'm doing acupuncture and I don't have breaks, now I'm like, I can't feel their energy. And I know that this might sound a little woo-woo, but I can sense. I'm empathetic. Maybe you are empathetic too, which leads to more needs for stress management. But I can sense how people feel, and I can sense how, let's put it this way, how to use needles to help. And if I can't sense that because I'm blocked off because I haven't had a break, that's a bad thing. It's a big bad thing. So my need, big time, breaks. So let's do daytime routine. Now I want you to be thinking about what is your big need? What do you need? What can help you here? Daytime. So for me, I have to have at least two breaks during the day of like 15 minutes where I just literally can stare at the wall. I can play hula hoop. I can kick the soccer ball. I can go outside. Whatever it may be, I need that. I also need a lunch break. Everyone actually needs a lunch break. Why? Because eating is parasympathetic. It is a chill action. So if we have a chill action, we need to make sure that that situation in which we eat is chill. So right now, how many of you sit at your desk and eat lunch while you work? If you do, we got to talk. Because this is basically not giving your body the parasympathetic driven signals it needs to digest food properly. So if you don't sit down and spend time like focusing on eating and you have gut issues, you're shooting yourself literally in the gut on that one. You need to slow down. Take 30 to 60 seconds before you eat and just breathe a minute. Just sit there. Don't do anything. And then start eating. To tell your body, like, hey, we're going to eat now. We're going to switch from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Eating is a big deal. The other big thing, and the reason I'm talking about why you need so much parasympathetic is that the more you can get parasympathetic into your day, the more you're going to sleep better, the more you're going to recover better, and your energy is going to go up. Your weight's going to come off. That lingering 10, 15, 20 pounds you gained around your belly, or even your hips and thighs, ladies. This can be a big deal. So we need to really think about the daytime. So I have my eating and I have my breaks, 2 breaks. So lunch break and breaks. Take your breaks. Smokers take breaks. If you don't smoke, which I don't recommend, treat yourself like a smoker and go take that break. They're not lazy. No one who takes breaks is lazy. I used to think this. I used to think like the harder you work, the more driven you were, the more you were gonna get results. The more I've slowed down and taken breaks and chilled, the more I get better results. So this is a thing. So 2 breaks, schedule them in. You can do whatever you want on your breaks, as long as it is chill, something chill. Get outside, do something fun, laugh, whatever it may be. This is huge. There's research, like I said, that shows the more breaks you take during the day, the better you sleep at night and the better you recover from your day and your stressors. Okay, so that's daytime. Now, let's talk about evening, because evening is huge. One of the things I found out about myself is that I didn't have a hard stop on work. And for a lot of people right now working at home, it's confusing for your brain because you're not going to a place and leaving a place. Because that act of leaving that place tells your brain, bring that cortisol down. But now when home equals work, that line between when should cortisol be elevated and when shouldn't, it's not there anymore. We don't have that signal to the brain that's like, okay, we are going to start parasympathetic mode. So we have to have a hard stop on work. Make yourself a rule. For me, it is 7:30. Work is done. I will not check my email. I will not check anything until the next day. The only caveat is if I know that someone's struggling and I need to monitor something, which is okay, but I'm not going to be like staring at my emails while I'm monitoring what's going on with someone. But this is a hard stop. Work's done, screen's off. Now, dinner. I do recommend eating at least 2 hours before bed so that your body has the ability to digest your food. Because if you eat then go straight to bed, you're going to be digesting food when you should be repairing yourself and recovering. So you're not going to sleep well. Best time for dinner, 7 p.m. or before. That is Chinese medicine. There are documents that have been around for 5,000 years that say 7 p.m. is the best time to finish dinner. Why? It's because your stomach qi, so the energy of your stomach, the energetics, the most active time of your stomach is between 5 and 7 p.m. And so many people have gut issues that I really do think that there's something to this. I found it works for me. I found it works for a lot of people. Now, what you'll notice is that my hard stop on work is 7:30 and dinner's got to be done before 7. So I actually eat dinner at work on my second break most of the time to get that to work well. And I'm working on it slowly but surely because previously I have got home from work 8, 9 o'clock at night and then I'm either skipping dinner or trying to figure out what to do. It doesn't end well. And so I have learned I have to eat at work on my second break to make things work out. So it's adjustments. And playing with it. What works? What doesn't? What's going to be the best for you? And getting your needs met, right? Because if I'm in my evening routine and I don't get dinner, well, sometimes that'll mess with the brain. And then the next day I'm like, I can eat more today because I didn't eat as much yesterday. If you have any eating disorder tendencies, your brain's going to go wackadoodle on some things. Now, the other big thing about evening is winding down. The evening is about chill. If you work out in the evening, that's great. But you need to make sure you do some positional parasympathetic breathing after that workout so you can tell your body workout's done, time to move on. We're going into chill mode. So what are you doing to wind down? If you're watching Netflix and you're watching like crazy horror films, or you're watching things that are really thought-provoking, this might not be what you need to be doing in the evening. You might want to save those for earlier evenings on the weekends, something of that nature, because you don't want your brain to be overstimulated in the evening. So I'm thinking in my mode, what I like to do and what I think can be helpful for a lot of folks is recovery, yoga, gentle walks, stretching, baths, red light therapy if you have it. These are great evening routines to help your body wind down. Reading, another really big one. And I do think that blue light blocking glasses and filters on the technology are huge, because the more light that gets into your pineal gland that's right there between your eyes, the more that little gland is going to keep the cortisol up and the melatonin low. And you want melatonin up. Really, your evening is all about help your body increase melatonin, decrease cortisol. That's what you should be thinking about for every evening. That's what you're doing. That's the goal of the evening. It's not about powering in how much work you can get in, finishing things off, hammering things out. It's really how can you get your body into parasympathetic mode so that you can increase your melatonin, decrease your cortisol. So right now, let's go back to it. What do you need in the evening? What needs are not getting met in the evening? You can have fun and put yourself into parasympathetic mode with fun. So maybe evening is when you do some fun stuff. Breaks, winding down, outdoors. This is me getting outside. I will take another walk in the evening. It is not uncommon for me to take 2 to 3 walks a day, depending on what's going on. It's huge for me to get outdoors. I would love to be able to hike every day, but that's not something that's realistic at the moment. But these are things to think about in your life. What's realistic for you? What's realistic for you to get your needs met? And incorporate that evening routine into it. Okay, so we've talked about getting needs met. We've talked about stress management in terms of routines, habits. We've talked about energy vampires. The big thing that I want to talk about now is, what do you do when you're stressed out in the moment? And how do you take that information and utilize it to your benefit? So, stressed in the moment, you can feel it in your gut. Maybe your gut starts to cramp and maybe you have diarrhea. Maybe. Or you might feel just like this jittery inside, shaky. You might even get chest pain. You might even get certain aches and pains, or you might even feel like your neck start to seize up. I know a lot of people can feel that happening. Or you might look at yourself in the mirror and your shoulders are literally becoming your earrings. The more upper back tension, neck tension, jaw tension you start to feel, you're getting stressed. And connecting yourself with these symptoms and what you need to do to get your needs met, get your, breaks, stress point, on point is huge. So managing symptoms in the body related to stress. So I want you to write out, how does stress affect you? I'm doing shorthand here, text writing. How does stress affect you? What does it do to you in terms of your body, your mind? Do you get anxious thoughts? Do your shoulders tighten up? Does your upper back get tight? Does your jaw clench? Do you get migraines? Write these all down. Then, when do you get these symptoms? When does this happen? When is it happening for you? Write it down. Chances are there's connections between your symptoms and your stress and where you want to work and focus during the day. Sometimes I will get extremely anxious before I go to work, especially if it's a day that's really busy and I don't have a lot of breaks. I will get jittery. I almost will end up feeling like my chest is kind of compressing and my neck's pulling down and my jaw's clenching. It's almost like my whole body is screaming, don't go there. Don't go there. You're going into battle. It's not good. You don't want your work, you don't want your life situations to be sending signals to your body that you are going into battle. Because this creates a serious issue with cortisol. And over time, the more that you keep subjecting yourself to the same situation day in, day out, the more potential you have for burning out your body's ability to make cortisol effectively and to be able to regulate inflammation effectively, which ultimately lowers your immunity. And this is that intersection between stress and immunity. So many people who are extremely fit, they look super fit, they look super healthy. They're spouting off how like they do all of these exercises and things. But if they're not managing their stress, they're not healthy. You can have the perfect physique, and if you don't manage stress well, it's just a matter of time before there's a tipping point. And then we end in chronic pain, chronic inflammation, autoimmune conditions, chronic viruses, bacteria, mold, you name it. That's what happens. That's how we get there. And so the whole point of me putting this out is making sure that you can help manage stress. But also, if you have kids, you have grandkids, start working with them on getting their needs met in proper manners, of course, but getting the needs met and looking through the day where they're not getting the needs met and they're getting stressed out. The more the kids have the ability to manage stress, the better they're going to be when they get older. Us, we're trying to figure it out as it goes, and that's fine because that's what it is. It's dynamic, like I mentioned. It's something that it's day in, day out. We're working on it. So write out how stress affects you. Write out when you get those symptoms of being overwhelmed, when you get stressed out. When do those symptoms show up? When those symptoms show up, that's where you need to focus. So for me, I realized that my symptoms were showing up in the morning quite a bit. And so I had to work on my evening routine and morning so that my overnight stuff, I'm recovering and I can get into the morning and feel chill. What did that mean? Well, I'm turning my hours around at the office. I'm going to start now at 10 or 11 a.m. Gives me more time in the morning to rejuvenate myself. I still will work into the evening because most people like to come in and see me for acupuncture in the evening after work, which I think is amazing because it's a great wind down routine. I wish a lot of folks like myself, and this goes back to getting your needs met and what you need in life, would work later in the evening so that we could give acupuncture for folks as a gift, really, to wind down in the evening. It's a great recovery tool. So you wrote out how stress affects you. You wrote out when during the day stress affects you the most. Now it's create a routine around that stress. So for me, I was mentioning how I was feeling anxious. I was feeling tightening in my neck. My shoulders are coming up, my chest, my jaw, kind of all the things that you would associate with a panic attack before headed to work. So I've changed my routine. I'm starting work later. It's going to be implementing here in the next couple weeks, actually, as I get things adjusted. And what I'm going to be doing is getting outside in the morning, spending more time on a longer walk with my dog so that I can be ready and clear-headed and chill heading into work. Now, what could you do that's realistic for you? Yes, I work for myself. I know that a lot of people don't have that luxury. Okay. What can you do to slow down that morning routine a little bit if mornings are your issue? Perhaps you get your clothes ready the night before if you're actually going into work. Perhaps you're thinking about your main things you have to get done that next day. Maybe you already have it there. You've written it down. You know, like what's priority and what's like bonus if you get it done. Because for a lot of people, I think we create these huge lists, and if we can't get through that list, it panics us. I will agree with you. That happens with me. So it's looking at creating a routine around your stressors that are going to come up, making yourself stress-proof. What are the defaults? And in the moment, if you're getting stressed, like for example, when I do feel like my shoulders are tightening, my jaw's tightening, I like to take really big yawns and go lay down and do the parasympathetic breathing again. I will do that. I will also go outside because remember, those are my needs, right? I'll need to be outside. I need to have fun. So a lot of times in the morning, I'll go and play Frisbee with my dog in the backyard or ball with him. Something that is fun so that I have given myself that note that, oh, parasympathetic, shut it down. Get into parasympathetic mode. So ultimately, we're creating a routine around what stressors we have, but we're also getting our needs met. So, combining those two things is a great way to get started in helping you to deal with stress more effectively, to helping you to get over a lot of these chronic illnesses and things that show up, because sadly, when you can't say no to your life and the chaos and not getting your needs met, your body's going to finally say no for you. There are strong connections between MS and cancer, chronic pain, gut issues, and why we have them, and it's stress. If we can get a handle on our stress, a lot of these symptoms go away, because the body saying no for you is your body's way of being like, help me here, you're not doing anything for me. So I'm here to help you to prevent that from going down a big route. Because once we start to have autoimmune conditions, once we start to have neuropathy, once we start to have chronic pain, chronic fatigue, it's hard to get out of it. There's no easy way but to do the work. You do the work, you put yourself in a parasympathetic mode, and you're gonna get better. It's really key to look at this because there's a lot of stuff going on in the natural medicine world where we find these reactivated viruses. We find SIBO, so small intestine bowel overgrowth, and we start killing with all of these meds and all of these herbs, and folks don't get better. It's frustrating. I've done it all. I've given meds, I've given herbs, I've given supplements, I've went down really long protocols, and what I've landed on is I missed the most important factor: stress management, getting your stress on point and putting yourself into parasympathetic mode more often. So if you're struggling with a chronic condition, you want to do this. You want to review back and look at your stressors. If you are not struggling right now, but you know you're stressed out and you're not having any issues, but you're struggling, let's put it this way, you're struggling with stress, but you don't have any long-term health issues right now, get your stress management dialed in. Dial it in. You will prevent yourself a lot of issues. If you are a parent, a grandparent, a caregiver, teach this to your kids. Please teach it to your kids. This is so huge. I would love to be able to speak in schools if we ever have that ability to do that again, to help kids with managing stress, because I think we could prevent a lot of chronic illness, a lot of medications for anti-anxiety and depression, maybe even ADD, because I will be honest that in some cases, I feel like folks feel like they have ADD, but it's because the brain won't slow down. Yes, there are legit genetic mutations that cause ADD, but I'm saying that I think that some of us think we need medications for our brain and brain fog and things of that nature, when in reality, it's managing stress. That can go a long way. So, because of all of this, I've created 2 courses. I have a reset and recovery program, and I have a Manage Stress Naturally course. They are both free. They help you to get even deeper into what I've talked about today. They're on my website, and you can also find them on my Thinkific site there through that as well. So if you head over to drjkrausend.com, you can find my courses. You can find them absolutely for free. I recommend checking them out because they're going to take you on another step from this, and expect more from me out of this in the future because I think this is a crucial component in terms of preventing chronic illness and helping folks with chronic illness manage their symptoms. And it's overlooked way too often. We are not working on our stress management so we can recover effectively from every day, let alone recover from workouts, recover from every single day. All right, everybody. You have survived another episode of The Health Fix. I'm your host, Dr. Janine Krause. I hope you have a great day, whatever you're doing. Hey, health junkies. I hope you enjoyed my podcast. If you want to continue the conversation based on what topic I'm talking about at any given time on the Health Fix podcast, head over to my Facebook group, Find Your Health Fix. It's where we are talking about what's going on in health, what I'm talking about in the podcast, and I love to answer questions there. So come hang out and join the conversation. And by the way, right now I have a free Manage Your Stress Naturally course that you can grab on my website at drjkrausend.com, because so many people are stressed out right now, and really it has to do with the basics, your routines and simple habits that are messing you up. So head on over to drjkrausend.com and go check out my free course on managing stress naturally. All right, folks, have a great day, whatever you're doing.
Subscribe, rate, and share info.